Hello YouTube, this is Neon. I'm excited today about talking about how or what it was like knitting and crocheting on the set as an extra amongst extras for a few movies and lots of TV programs. So I'm going to start off by saying that people are basically bad. You, me, it just takes the right circumstances for that badness to actually show. We live in a prosperous country, so not as much of it shows, but go to a third world country, go to a war-torn country, and then we get to see sides of people that aren't hidden. Anyway, so really quickly, I want to start by saying that whenever I saw a woman knitting or crocheting, I was always mesmerized. It just was seeing the yarn run through her fingers and her turning that yarn into fabric, to me, was just amazing. So the first time I saw a man knitting, I was like in my 20s. It was on the bus in Riverside, the city of Riverside. And I remember I rolled my eyes and I thought, oh my God, I realize that you're gay, but do you have to be that gay? That's what I was thinking as I rolled my eyes and did all that BS. Later on, RTA started a campaign with the Riverside Transit Agency, an advertising campaign that it was basically, here's all the things you can do on the bus while the bus taking you to work that you can't do if you drive in. And so they would show different people, like one person might be reading a book. Well, they showed another person and it was a dude knitting. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was this same guy that they used in their campaign. He was African American, which I'm very proud to say that an African American man had the guts to be knitting in public. But I thought, damn, he really got the last laugh there, particularly if it was the same guy, because the guy I had seen was African American. Doesn't mean it was the same guy. I didn't get a good look at his face, so I'm not sure. But if it was the same guy, they just kind of picked him as one of the customers to use in their campaign. He definitely would have gotten the last laugh. Anyway, so put on my glasses while I'm reading, cause it made me look intelligent. Ooh, don't it look intelligent? So I want to talk about a specific experience that happened while I was knitting on set. I was on the set of this one show that it had a degree of popularity, but it only went one season. So I'm sitting there knitting, and as fate would have it, one of the makeup ladies, she's crocheting an afghan for one of the stars on the show because his wife is going to have a baby shortly. And there was some, y'all think I'm proud that I knew what she didn't know. There was some particular stitch, a picot, I think it's pronounced. I always pronounce it picot. I believe it was a picot stitch that she wasn't quite sure how to do. So the AD, or he might have been a PA, these are very low-ranking people, and they're usually the ones that give directions to extras. Extras are people in the background. They have no dialogue. They're usually paid minimum wage, right? While the actors are paid tens of thousands of dollars easily for one day's work. So these low-ranking PAs, production assistants, or ADs, assistant directors, they tell us what to do. So our AD had told this makeup lady, oh, I have a guy, he knits and crochets, he can show you how to do that stitch, which I did, and that was fine. And he said, you know what, Neon? He says, you're not even going to really have to work today. What your responsibility is going to be is to help her knit that, or crochet that Afghan. So when he did that, all of the background, this was in the holding area just outside of the set. All of the background looked at me like, ooh! And that was bizarre. Background are not valued. They're not treated well generally. They're paid scraps. They're paid minimum wage. And again, the director, the actors are paid tens of thousands of dollars, and the crew, some of the crew is paid minimum wage as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the low-ranking ADs and PAs, entry level, are paid minimum wage. But the union members, crew members, are paid very well also. They don't generally interact with background. They keep, like, background isn't even considered part of the production. They'll talk in terms of cast and crew, but they never talk about background. We're considered to be a necessary evil. So the fact that I was sitting there teaching something to a makeup lady who is considered part of the crew, the fact that the AD gave me that position, it was all bizarre the way background was acting, because background typically behaves in very bizarre ways. They're generally poor, broke, and we're around all of this power, money, and fame, and it's very difficult to behave in a normal way. They all background, most of whom I didn't really know, they began to come up to me and talk to me and I guess congratulate me. It was kind of like, okay. One person who later on, he did a homophobic joke against me when I was bending over. He was one of the ones that came up to me and tried to pretend like he was so interested, right, after this happened. So this woman, Angela, I say her first name, she ended up having to go back to where the makeup area was, where the makeup artists were seated, and so I ended up having to go there to help her. I was arranging her yarn, and because unfortunately a lot of times you pull the center of the skein, you pull the center of the yarn out, and a clump of yarn comes out, right? It's a pain in the butt. That yarn, how I deal with it is I unravel that whole ball, the little ball that comes out, and then I organize it. In so doing, I try to do it as quickly as possible. Most knitters hate this aspect of knitting and crocheting, and when I separate the yarn, I separate it. I'm the only person I've seen that does it like this. I'll separate it, I'll run it across my fingers and separate it, and it creates these lines. So it allows me to work with maybe 8, 10, 12 feet of yarn at one time and separate and organize it. Then I can turn it into a ball, or I can wrap it around the skein and unravel it as I need it. The director, now directors almost never address background. They don't address us. They don't talk to us. They don't acknowledge our presence. The director comes out. This was in between takes, right? They're doing a new setup, so there's nobody's really working while they're setting up, except for lighting, and whoever's doing the setup is the only ones working. Usually background is just in holding during this time. The director sees me as I unravel all this yarn like this, and there's a string running all crazy, and the director doesn't even pretend. The director says, "Oh my God, what are you, a professional knitter?" And I ignored him. I didn't even address him. It was kind of like, I was like, oh wait, am I in trouble? Like, what's going on here? Like, so I quickly finished and arranged her yarn, and she was able to ultimately to finish the Afghan for this actor's newborn baby. So the thing that's interesting in Hollywood is that Hollywood is sort of a safe haven for gays. You do not talk evil about gay people. You don't say homophobic jokes. You don't do any of that because you're going to get fired. And for background, you have background members who come to LA from all over the world. From Alabama, from the South, from Mississippi. And you know these people, they don't like gay people. They don't believe They believe that homosexuality is like, it's not a good thing at all. Okay, it's not a Christian thing to be gay or lesbian. Ooh. Yet they know in Hollywood don't play that mess. Hollywood don't play homophobia. Hollywood don't play anti-gay bigotry. So they'll sort of pretend to be pro-gay because they think somehow that's going to advance their career. When they see me knitting and crocheting, their response is the same response that I had when I saw a dude knitting for the first time, which is disgust. It's anger and disgust. And I'm telling you, I have experienced this from other gay people. There's a guy, he was a male nurse, a stereotypic gay person, a kind of feminine, kind of a little flaming, and he was actually hired as an extra but paid a higher rate because they wanted someone who was actually a nurse. We were talking and I was going to show him some pictures of my Afghans that I had done, and he thought that I was going to pull an Afghan out of my backpack to show him because I always knitted on set. And he says, when I said, let me show you my Afghan, he literally goes like this, oh, no, I don't want to see it. He does that in front of everybody. And then I was like, why don't I show you on my phone? And then when we were talking closer together, he says, well, I didn't want everybody to see because, he says, I'm not that out of the closet. And I was like, yeah, no, actually you are. You are that out of the closet already. Apparently you're in denial. So me knitting would offend, it would even offend some gay people because they always would assume, as I assumed with the African American gentleman who was knitting, that it's my way of telling the whole world I'm gay, and without being flaming and stereotypically gay, it's my way of just being in your face about it and being gender bending and being offensively gay. That's how gays have interpreted it. Most gays that I've met, some gays get offended because it's like I outgayed them. It's like they want to talk about how proud they are to be gay and how out of the closet they are. Then they see a dude knitting and they're like, wait a second, he's more out of the closet than me. So sometimes there's a little jealousy. So once I started knitting, I knew this was going to happen because I knew my reaction to seeing a guy knitting. So I thought, oh man, I'm in for it. People never assume that a dude or a woman who knits likes to knit. They never assume that. They never assume that. And women a lot of times don't have respect for other women who knit and crochet or for men who crochet either, because that's seen sort of as part of patriarchy, male domination. That the idea of women at home knitting and crocheting is sort of seen as like a very non-feminist craft. So a lot of times women have to sort of hide the fact that they knit and crochet because it's seen as not being liberated. So I really had to deal with a lot of that BS. Two young men who were clearly, to me, heterosexual, they were being very, very friendly to a friend of mine on set who was very stereotypically gay. Kind of like the really feminine dude on Will and Grace. He was kind of behaved like that. So they were being too friendly to him, and I was just kind of like, what's up with this? Why are they being so friendly? They're half his age. And when he walked away, apparently they could read my facial expression. They told each other, well, you know, I like to be seen being friendly with gays because if you're friendly with gays, that helps you in Hollywood get ahead. And I was like, I kind of knew that that's why people were always friendly with me when I was knitting and crocheting. I would get bizarre questions like, are you knitting that for your girlfriend? Huh? Like, no, I'm knitting it for my husband. So it was very strange because they're very hostile towards you. Even progressives can be very hostile towards you, and yet they have to pretend that they're not. Some of them, if I told them, excuse me, I'm knitting, I don't have time to talk with you, I'm knitting right now, they might call me the F word. They would usually whisper it and they'd walk away. So very, very fake and phony. It was a very interesting, frustrating experience, but I got a lot of knitting done on set. I'm done. Please like, subscribe, share, comment commercials, recommend my videos. Do one or more of those things. Thank you. Best wishes.